Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today for the Lytham Partners Spring 2022 Investor Conference. My name is Joe Dorame, Managing Partner of Lytham Partners. I would like to welcome Global Bioenergies, ticker symbol ALGBE, on the Euronext Paris Exchange. Presenting from the company is Mark Delcourt, co-founder and chief executive officer. Today, Mark will run through the company's slide presentation. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that Lytham Partners is one of the country's leading investor relations firm. With more than 2 decades of experience, we have built one of the industry's most effective platforms for connecting small cap companies with high quality institutional investors. Hopefully today's event is another example of the value we can add. As a reminder, the company will be available for one-on-one virtual meetings. If you'd like to sign up, please visit lythampartners.com/virtual and click the one-on-one meeting request button. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Mark Delcourt, CEO of Global Bioenergies. Mark?
Hello, thank you, Joe, for the kind introduction. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about Global Bioenergies. Let me put my screens on the, let me share the screens. There we are. Joe, can you see my screen correctly? Okay, so Global Bioenergies, we see us as a growing player in the environmental transition. And here you have on the next slide the kind of very short introduction to Global Bioenergies. So we're a 12-years old company. We've been listed in Paris since 2011. We're 50 people, 50 employees. We are manufacturing the first and only renewable cosmetic grade isododecane. Isododecane being a key molecule for cosmetics that is used for decades, based on sourcing from oil, used for decades by all the main industry players in the cosmetics. We entered the commercial phase in summer 2021 last year with the launch of our first brand of makeup products, the first brand to combine long lastingness and naturalness, and that has been made possible by using our unique ingredient. It's surprising, but it happens that this molecule, the very same molecule, is also used in the jet fuel industry. It is used to as a component of jet fuel, and so we by sourcing this component not from oil but from renewable resources, we can produce sustainable aviation fuel, having a much better environmental footprint if compared to the fossil equivalent. So we're juggling on these 2 markets, the cosmetics on the first hand, and on the second hand, the jet fuel. And this, in fact, might be surprising at first sight, but it brings a lot of coherence. In fact, the short-term markets are in the cosmetics because prices are not under a huge pressure in the cosmetics. There is leeway, while in the fuels, each cent is counting, and the technology needs to really reach its theoretical optimum to be an efficient technology in this space. So short-term the cosmetics, long-term in the fuels. So why are we doing all this? Well, it's because the planet is getting warmer every day, and and this is due very directly to the CO2. There is no debate any longer, and by producing compounds not from oil but from renewable feedstocks such as sugar beet in Europe or corn in the US, well, you save about 2/3 of the CO2 emissions. Why? Well, in fact, in the case of oil, you have a one-way journey from the underground to the atmosphere, while renewables are based on recycling the atmospheric CO2 using photosynthesis That's what the plants are doing for us. And then when you use the sugar that has been produced by these plants, you can produce compounds of interest, fuels, chemicals, cosmetics, and recycle these CO2 several times. So we see our company as we see our company's mission as such. We want to foster the environmental transition through bioscience. And how can we do that? In fact, we have developed a unique process to convert renewable feedstock into a gaseous compound named isobutene, and from this isobutene we produce isododecane for cosmetics and fuels, and also many other things. So we have a disruptive technology, this first ever sugar to gaseous compound technology. We have a disruptive technology, and this technology will impact the planet through a step-by-step roadmap, and we're going to explain all this in details. So first, the technology. So we take the renewable feedstocks. So here you have on the left part of the slide, sugar beet or sugars from straw or from wood. We've been working with all that kind of sugars. So all these sugars are given to bacteria that are present in fermenters. You see the fermenters here, and the bacteria are converting the sugar into isobutene, and that's really the core of our technology. That's where we have most of our IP. That's where we have our unicity. Isobutene is a gas, so that's the unicity of this technology. We produce a gaseous compound. It has a lot of advantages, and we'll go through these in details. And then this isobutene can be easily converted into liquid compounds, and in particular into isododecane. Isododecane, nicknamed IDD. Isododecane is nothing else than the combination of 3 molecules of isobutene together. Here, the technology is green chemistry based. It's a generic technology, and we are using the standard technology with some improvements that we have devised ourselves. So maybe a bit more details about the biological part of the process. So the first part of the process. So it's based on a bacteria that has been engineered, so it converts virtually all the sugar given to it into isobutene. And this has been made possible by creating a unique artificial metabolic pathway. We've been the first one to create such pathway based on enzyme activities that had never been described before, and in some cases going through intermediates, chemical intermediates that are absent on Earth except in our fermenters. So it's a really very innovative story. It's really deep tech. It's been very difficult to put in place. So that's why it took a long time. We've been on the road since 2008. That's 13 years already. And today we have this process that is working well and continuing to get improved year after year. So why is it important to produce a gas? First, you need to understand what our peers are doing. They're producing liquids. And when you are producing a liquid in a fermentation process, you grow your bacteria, then the bacteria produce the compound of interest, and then at some point the production stalls, and that's because the concentration has reached the toxicity point, toxicity level, which is well known in the case of the fermentation of ethanol, for example. It's about 15%, and that's why wine is at 15% and no more. In the case of many chemicals, the concentration is much lower, the toxicity point is much lower, and you reach 1 or 2%, and then the production stalls. And so then you need to wash everything, clean, sterilize. There is a lot of interrun period, long interrun period, and it ends up as a bad usage of biomass and a bad usage of the equipments. And then there is really a room for improvement. And that's what we do when we produce a gas. So we grow the bacteria only once, and then the production goes for 1 week or more. and the gas is volatilizing during the run, so there is no toxicity level reached. That's the first advantage. So you can really use better the bacteria and the equipment. Second advantage, the molecule, the isobutene in our case, goes out in a very simple environment: air, a little bit of CO2, biogenic CO2, and a little bit of water pressure. So that's very simple, and then it's very easy to purify isobutene. And this has to be compared to extracting a liquid compound from the fermentation broth, which is really much more difficult. Fermentation broths are complex and variable, and while the gaseous outflow of our process is really very reproducible and very simple. So two advantages: longer runs, which translate into lower OPEX, and easier purification, which translates into better purification schemes. So fermentation step is improved, purification step is improved, so that's wonderful. But there is a drawback, in fact, to what we are doing. And the drawback is that we need a specific equipment. We cannot run our process in standard fermenters, and that's because isobutene being a flammable gas, you need some safety measures that are specific. And so it means that we need to build all what we want to exploit. And this is a drawback because usually people try to take advantage on existing plants when they scale up their technologies. So we were able to still exploit some parts of existing plants, but the drawback is that retrofit is more difficult in our case. So this is our industrial development. So we started 10 years ago in a lab, then we did a pilot plant, that we need a demo plant in Germany, and then we moved the demo plant and we rebuilt a unit. We used the main equipments to build a commercial unit in France, small commercial unit, we call it a semi-works, and it started its activities 2 weeks ago. And that's a very important milestone for us. So today we really can say that we are commercial. And then we plan to move to a larger plant within 2 to 3 years. Each of these steps is associated to a level of production, and this level of production is associated to a business opportunity. We see that from isobutene you can do many things. You can do gasoline, jet fuel, rubbers and plastics and fine chemicals, and also cosmetics. Where we see real traction is on the jet fuel side for the longer term, and on the cosmetic side for the shorter term. And that's where we built our business opportunities. Here you have an example of the press, a lot of press on cosmetics, a lot of press on jet fuel. So that's really the markets that are appealing for us. So now, how are we going to do? How we built our roadmap? We divided it in 4 horizons. The first one was based on the production that we manufactured using our demo plant. We were able to make enough material to produce our own brand of cosmetics, own brand of makeup, with a unique selling proposition for the products. And this started last year. And then we are moving to Horizon 2. Horizon 2 is selling ingredients in the makeup market, which is a specific niche where the value of the compounds is higher than in the rest of the cosmetics. So we see that we have a business opportunity, a specific business opportunity here that is just starting with the commissioning of our semi-works plant earlier in March. We will be moving within 2 to 3 years to the third horizon, where we're going to be producing ingredients at the 1,000 tons scale in the skincare and the hair care markets, so the big cosmetics. And Horizon 4 is going to be dedicated to sustainable aviation fuel, and that's going to be for the second half of the decade. So let me walk you through each of these horizons. So first, the brand. So it took us a few tons of isododecane to produce enough compounds, enough material to manufacture our own brand of cosmetics, makeup in our case. We're not the first ones to do so. It might be a bit surprising for an industrial biology company like us to move up the value chain so drastically, to really go down to the B2C and to the end user. In fact, we're not the first one, we're the second. The first company having done that is Ameris in the US. They used their process, that industrial biology process, to produce a specific compound from which they derived their own brand of cosmetics. And so we're following these tracks, and it works very well. So we built a group of senior people from the cosmetics world, and they were able to work on the formula, the packaging, and the marketing elements. And we launched the brand last summer. So 32 references for eyes and lips makeup. So lip stain, eyeshadow, mascaras, and eyebrow mascaras as well. And we went through all the way down to the market. So we have our own website to sell these products today. And so we're selling in France to a growing number of ladies. And having this brand in our hands really strengthened our negotiating position for the ingredients, because now we know everything on the organization of the cosmetics from the inside. We are a cosmetic player, and it helps us a lot to prepare this Horizon 2 that has started a few weeks ago. Here you see the semi-works plant that we have built. So it has started on a capacity of 10 tons per year, and it's going to grow up to 100 tons per year by year end. It's a made in France ingredient, which has, and this has a lot of value in the cosmetics, to source local ingredients. And we are just starting selling and discussing with these with the players in the field. In fact, there is a huge conference every year in the cosmetics ingredients. This year it's going to be in Paris. It's named In Cosmetics, and it's going to be next week. And so our real commercial phase is starting next week. Moving to the Horizon 3, so we see that in the skincare and in the hair care, there is a large market for isododecane and related molecule isohexadecane, 25,000 tons, ramping up to 100,000 tons. And we are being asked for larger volumes by a growing number of potential clients. And so we are working on a business case to scale our production up from 100 tons per year. That's going to be what we'll have at the end of the year, 2022, growing this capacity to 1,000 tons per year, and that's going to be for 2024. And this will allow us to move to the real big business, in fact, that we are targeting. And here we're talking about jet fuel. In fact, our molecule isododecane is already approved for a 50% blend in commercial jet fuel. Our process should be certified by the ASTM somewhere in 2022. The only thing that will really make it happen is to bring the cost below 4 euros per kilo. We're not there yet. We're not that far, but we're not there yet. And 4 euros per kilo is pretty much the magic number from which you can integrate increasing volumes of sustainable aviation fuels in the air transportation. So to give a little bit more insight about this this business, we took the slides from Total. In fact, to produce sustainable aviation fuel, which is really now a necessity if we want to decarbonize our planet. And air transportation is responsible for about 3% of the CO2 emissions, growing faster than the rest of the market. So it's going to be 5, 6, 7 within 20 years. We need to reduce these CO2 emissions. There are various technologies that have been listed by Total for doing so. It looks complicated, but it's not that complicated. In fact, the first two blocks here are about oils, waste oil or edible crops. And that's the first block. The second block is about fermentation. That's where we stand. Third block is about a specific technology named Fischer-Tropsch, and it's based on chemistry. It's not a biological process. And the PTL is in fact all the rest, all what you can do in terms of technologies from other feedstocks. For example, from the CO coming from steel mills, and that's Lanzatech explaining, developing some technologies in this field. So 4 blocks: oils, fermentation, Fischer-Tropsch, and futuristic feedstocks. We are in this block. And what we claim is that in this block, there is a limited competition, Amiris, Gevo, and people working on ethanol. And this competition is really limited, and we see our technology, because of the direct to a gaseous compound fermentation, we see our technology presenting a lot of advantages. It's a specific option. We're the only ones following these tracks, and that's very unique, that's very different, and we claim that we have the winning cards. Today it's the time for the oils. FI is the oil, waste oil. You see that when you are using waste oils as a component for jet fuel, it's a higher price if compared to commercial jet fuel from oil, about 3-fold. Fermentation is going to be even a little higher if compared to the oils, but it's the next horizon for the jet fuel. Fischer-Tropsch is going to come after that, and then the futuristic feedstocks are going to be for 2040, 2050. So that's not me saying that, it's the vision for Total. What is clear is that we claim that we have the best-in-class technology for the fermentation segment, which is the largest segment according to Total, and in a game that is just starting. In fact, in Europe, only Norway, Sweden, and France have put in place mandates. It's coming. It's concrete. Many other countries have said so as well. And so we're going to see sustainable aviation fuel as a growing business in the next years and in the next decades. A few slides of conclusions. First, no question, we need to reduce CO2 emissions. We have not started yet, and the first thing is that it will require huge efforts from everyone. Smaller cars, driving less, flying less, eating less meat, etc. You name it. It's going to be necessary, and this will be powered by government policies. The low CO2 emission technologies will bring a key part of the solution, but it will only be useful if people have first made efforts to reduce their consumptions, their CO2 production. This is a slide about the metrics. So human activity emits today about 40 billion tons of CO2 per year. The aggressive scenario for our technology is that we're going to do thousands of plants. We're going to convert a lot of feedstock into half of the sustainable aviation fuel that will be used in 2050, and this will prevent the emissions of 50 million tons of CO2. That might look a lot or that might look small depending on how you present it. It's only 1% of the CO2 emissions, but it's also the CO2 emissions of 100 million people. That's what we can do. That's the aggressive scenario for our technology. It's 1% is huge for a single technology, but it's only 1%, so it will not save the world on its own. Perspectives, our process is now mature for applications in the cosmetics. We have a clear and stepwise roadmap for ramping up the production to sustainable aviation fuel. We have the potential to build thousands of plants and re-industrialize deserted territories. So this is important to bring jobs in the country again. We will contribute as well to the energy independence of many countries, and this is taking a strategic dimension these days. It is important to produce, to be independent on its on a certain level of jet fuel produced domestically. And finally, we have the perspectives to reduce the world CO2 emission by about 1%. That's huge for a unique technology. Thank you so much for your attention. Here you have the traditional disclaimer, of course. And Joe, I will be available for any question if you have some.
All right, we have a couple minutes. And Mark, thank you very much for that overview. So let's expand a bit on a couple topics here. Well, first of all, congratulations on the new manufacturing facility there in France. Can you walk us through the importance of this new facility and its capabilities?
So this plant will make us able to produce about 10 tons. So started with the capacity of 10 tons per year isododecane, which is sufficient to produce a lot of cosmetics unit, because you only have about 2 grams of isododecane in a unit of lip stain, for example. So I let you do the math. With 10 tons, you can do a lot of products, and we'll be ramping up to 100 tons per year by year end. So in 2023, we'll be in a position to produce 100 tons, and this is a very large part of the makeup segment that we are targeting. So this plant is really dedicated to producing high value, high price isododecane for the makeup segment, and it will allow us to prime the market as well for the next horizon, which will be dedicated to skincare and hair care markets with larger volumes but lower prices.
That's very helpful. Moving on to your cosmetic brand, Last. Could you provide an update on what you're seeing in the space, and is it meeting your expectation, as far as sales and reception from the marketplace?
Yeah, so first we launched the brand in the summer last year. It was immediately recognized as very unique and very promising and very different by the professionals in the cosmetics. We earned 2 big awards. One from Marie Claire, one of the main feminine magazine in the French edition, and so they recognized our brand Last as one of the best launch of the year. And the second one was by a professional magazine named Cosmetic Mag. So it's not usual for such a young brand to earn awards aside big names like Chanel, like Dior, like other names, other big names. And so we were very proud of that. And then we started selling on a slow pace. So we announced our figures recently, and so the sales were 40,000 euros for the second half of 2021, and that was because we had no retailer at the time. We were just selling on our website, And then now, starting late December, we started to sell through a retailer, an e-retailer, and the sales went up dramatically. And so we see that the brand is deploying and progressing and gaining traction, getting recognition and awareness. And so that's very good. We really see that the unicity is something. The fact that the products are very very comfortable, very colorful, very both classical and combining classical shades with more pop colors is really has been recognized by the community, and we are very optimistic on this brand for the next quarters.
Very good. Turning to your partnerships, can you provide an update on your business relationship with L'Oreal?
So L'Oreal is our number one shareholder. They own 13%, 13, of the company. They are very supportive. Their CEO announced on TV, on French TV, 3 or 4 months ago, that L'Oreal was going to support global bioenergies and to open markets to our companies. And supporting meant contributing to the fundraising. So we raised 14 million euros in December, and L'Oréal contributed to this fundraising. And if I go back to what the CEO from L'Oréal said, opening new markets obviously means that they will acquire some ingredients, some volumes from us, and that's going to be hopefully the next step that we're going to be able to announce in our relationship.
That's fantastic. Mark, we're basically out of time here, so I want to thank you very much for your time today. We greatly appreciate it. Again, if you'd like to sign up for a one-on-one meeting with Global Bioenergies, please visit our website at lythampartners.com/virtual and click the one-on-one meeting request button. We hope you all enjoy the conference, and we wish you all a good day.
Thank you.